1 in 10 are broke, celebrating Margaret Thatcher and the fishing quota fury. Welcome to Mark and Pete, two blokes with half an opinion. Now here's our first thought.
The big imbalance. If you are walking a financial tightrope, your investments need a safety net. But if your balance falls in the red, you may land in a pile of debt. Oh dear. Yes, millions of people are walking a financial tightrope. That's 1 in 10 UK adults saving no money at all. And that is from a survey conducted by the Financial Conduct Authority. So millions of people don't have enough money. As we've already seen, costs are rising. And this means that many people are finding it very difficult to make ends meet. Mr. Pete, I ask you, with millions of people struggling, what does this mean for the generation today? But more importantly, if we're not saving money, what does that mean for generations of tomorrow?
Yes, well, of course, this is a crucial mindset change from the past. We've gradually switched from people needing to save up, maybe to buy a house or a car, to securing a loan, a mortgage. Of course, you have the guarantee of the house, so it's a secured loan. But then we moved more and more with the emergence of easy credit on your credit cards, and then the issues with banking, just giving out loans willy-nilly, automatic overdrafts, and people just not only not saving, but thinking they can just buy and sort it out later. And
Yes.
This seems to have infected the entire, well, at least quite a proportion of the population. It's had been that sort of trajectory heading from towards what you point out, about 10% having no savings, but no cash savings. But then you've got another 20% or so who have got less than £1,000. So, that's not that much in terms of savings. And then you've got people who are taking out loans with they've got unsecured debts. So it's not like a mortgage. They just have the equivalent of an overdraft or a small loan. Maybe a payday loan. So they're accruing debt. So you don't have money going forward into the future. In fact, you've got more and more debt across the country. That's in addition, of course, to the national debt, government debt, that sort of thing. We're talking about private debt. And that just adds to the problems in the future. People are not creating wealth, not storing wealth, not thinking about the future. And so the Mark and Pete mantra, long-termism, has been forgotten. They've not been listening to you, Mark.
Oh, I'm afraid this is true. Now, when you think about it, it works on different levels. But what the actual survey found is that 13 million people, a quarter of the UK adult population, have low financial resilience. Now, what they mean by resilience is that ability to be able to pay for, as you mentioned, 1, the mortgages, 2, the bills that feed into the property, but also it's the general cost of living. Food has gone up, clothing has gone up, transport has gone up, many different things. And actually what's also slightly alarming as well is that according to the actual survey, 3.8 million retirees are worried that they don't have enough money to last their full retirement. So we're not just talking about those people who are currently in the workforce today. We're talking about those who retired. And so if they're struggling, that means that we've got issues right across the board. Now, Mr. Pete, I ask you, the fact is, as you quite rightly say, is that many people are relying on credit card debt. In fact, the survey stated is that 2.8 million people have persistent credit card debt, meaning that it's not just a one-off issue. They are constantly having debts across multiple financial organizations. And this is worrying, isn't it? Because it's not sustainable. At what point do we reach the situation where the country just simply becomes stagnant? And that's worrying, isn't it? Because you want a thriving economy, but you want also new people coming into the economy, being able to save. You want people to earn a good living and have a standard, because basically if people don't have money, standards are going to go down as well.
Yes, yes, and in addition to that, just going forward, people aren't saving towards their future, their retirement. So, I think I think I've got a figure here. Yes, a third of adults with defined contribution pensions have less than £10,000 saves, and then 12% don't even know the value of their pension. So people are not planning for the future. And of course, the state pension is actually what would normally be called a Ponzi scheme, isn't it? In that
Yeah.
you pay money in, they spend it on other people. They don't just spend it wherever they like, and then they get in some new people to pay taxes to pay you when you're old. That's basically the scheme. It's not savings. So yeah, we're not planning for the future. People are going to get old, and there isn't going to be enough money to pay for them to be in retirement. And also, there's not enough wealth in the country to sustain the economy. That's the future we've got to look forward to, folks. So this
Yes.
is quite a cheerful episode we've got here.
Well, it also makes you wonder whether they're going to start pushing out the state age limit,
Yeah,
where it's currently
I think they're going to have
67 for
to. Yeah.
certain generations and 68 for another. But I don't be too surprised if it ends up being at 90. So,
Yes,
or maybe
exactly.
above.
Yes,
We'll
yeah,
have to
yeah.
see.
Be older than the oldest person. It was
Yes, correct.
120 something. We featured on a
Not quite as old
previous
as that, but I
episode.
think that they will probably have to sort of contribute to the the
Yes,
imbalance of society.
this is this is getting depressing. Let's move on to the next topic. That's bound to be cheerful.
Oh, even more cheerful, yes. Here's
Yes,
another
yes, I thought
thought,
so.
and maybe we can learn lessons from the past, but there's also
Hmm.
mistakes that have been made. Gold
Sure.
top. There once was a leader called Thatcher who had gravitas and political stature. But for every child, they grew up to be wild, and she became known as the milk snatcher. Yes, indeed, Margaret Thatcher. Well, guess what? You may have loved her, you may have loathed her, but yes, a festival to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Margaret Thatcher's birth is due to be held in her hometown later this year. Well, yes, the former Conservative Prime Minister, who was born in Grantham, Lincolnshire, in 1925. Yes, and South Keveston District Council is planning a programme of events during the week of the 13th of October. Mr. Pete, I'm sure you'll be there waving your Margaret Thatcher flag. But let me ask you this. Is this now, when you look at the political landscape, a time when maybe somebody with forthright, decisive action is required? Bring back Margaret Thatcher, maybe.
Yes, Mr. Mark. Well, as you know, I wasn't a big fan back in the day. Neither of us were of Margaret Thatcher. The policies that she put into place were damaging. Now, I'm not a fan of overpowerful trade unions, but their power was reduced significantly. So there were problems with trade unions being able to stand up for certain industries, coal, for example. Um, the policies that she followed, the financial policies that she followed, um, the monetarist policies that she followed, should I say, were resulted, yes, in lowering inflation, but also in cooling the economy and removing, moving to from an industrial-based economy to a service-based economy. So, I mean, what have you? This that you could argue was the start of the troubles we're in today, actually, down to Margaret Thatcher. But what you're talking about, Mr. Mark, are her personal attributes,
Yes.
the way that she operated, rather than the specific policies. Maybe she had bad advisors. In fact, that's what I have concluded. Because now I think, yeah, we need her back. I mean, Thatcher the Milk Snatcher, as she was known
Yes.
when she was schools minister, she was quite willing to remove the milk that used to be given out for free. I mean, I was a milk monitor when I was in primary school, so I know all about that. You used to get
Yes.
free milk, it
Oh,
was
yes.
taken away in a cost saving move. That's what critics said that was all it was. And so she became Thatcher the milk snatcher. She would make, I conclude from that, difficult decisions. In fact, she was decisive, and that's what we need. We need someone who's decisive, but also who's confident and will stand up to Europe. She said people who just gave in to Europe were wets,
Yeah.
including, and in fact, especially people in her own cabinet. So we need Margaret Thatcher to come and sort out the wets. Absolutely.
Well, I agree,
Well,
and
sadly, she's not available to do it. But we
not
need someone like her.
available.
So
No.
I think she's worth celebrating because she
Okay.
is, like a giant of politics, isn't she? She made a difference.
Yes, she did. And without any doubt, whether you like it or not, when you think of British prime ministers, Margaret Thatcher stands out. But you're right. She actually did regret the decision for the abolition of free milk for school children, because that clearly tarnished her own brand label, and for many years set her back. But ironically, here's the point about politicians: when they face adversity, they can come back. Clearly, she did. She won the Conservative leadership. She went on in 1979 to be Britain's first female prime minister. Now, the thing here is I agree with you in the sense of celebration, because whilst that you may not necessarily politically like everything that she did, she clearly put Britain back on the map.
Yeah,
the economy
sure.
at the time, you could see some analogies here, folks. The economy at the time in the late 70s was in a desperate situation. Britain had only just come wandering back sheepishly from the IMF to try and bail itself out. The Labour Party had lost its way, and the Conservatives came in and changed a lot of things. Smashed the unions as well, and that's something that was not an easy thing to do, so you have to give her credit for that. But I agree that one of the challenges here is that she comes with a bag of good and bad. That's one of the things which is unusual about Margaret Thatcher. But when it comes to celebrations, I'm in favour of it, in the sense that when you sort of reflect on a politician's achievements, you tend to sort of see things in greater perspective. At the time, I think many people wanted her out in the early 90s. Clearly, that's what the Conservatives did. But yeah, I mean, Mr. Pete, if you were to celebrate, what's the sort of thing that you would want? Street parties, dancing in the streets?
Well, yeah, I think a street party would be appropriate. I mean, I think the thing is that we criticise her policies here. She did bring back pride in Britain abroad, and
Yes.
the reaction to invasion of the Falklands was decisive and
Oh,
effective.
yes.
So I would say she brought back pride in Britain, now lost almost irrevocably with the current crop of politicians. What would I like to see? Yeah, I'd like to see that, and maybe, maybe have a papier-mâché model of the Falkland Islands, and then have people treading all over it with their British jackboots, that sort of thing.
Yes, and maybe
But
we
anyway,
can.
no, I was just joking there. But yeah, street party, some and entertainment, playing some of her best speeches, that sort of thing.
Yes, and maybe sort of raise a glass of milk.
You
Well.
raise a glass of milk, and I think really everyone should try and get a Thatcher wig. I know Donald Trump's already got one, but
yes,
I think everyone else should get one.
Well, let's move on. Now, this is a contentious subject, folks. It's been rumbling for a long time when it comes to the EU and the UK. EU caught alive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once the EU caught a fish alive. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then it trawls the UK again. Why can't it let it go? Because bit by bit it swam away long ago. Which people felt its bites? The UK fishermen fighting for their rights. Yes,
Beautiful,
I'm afraid.
beautiful.
The fishermen
Could
of
have.
the UK.
Can I just say, Mark, that had that been submitted, it could easily have won the Eurovision Song Contest. Brilliant.
It's my entry for next year. Don't worry. Number one throughout the world. But as we move forward, the fact of the matter is the negotiations with the UK over future fishing quotas still rumbles on. it's not just about the fishing rights, it's also about a security deal as well. Now, what's interesting is that the Margaret Beat Show has brought this to attention many a time. Why is it that we just simply can't sort out the British waters for fishing and the wider negotiations? Mr. Pete, I ask you, this is a rumbling problem, and I'm afraid that it does smell a bit fishy, this deal, doesn't it? What say you?
Yeah, well, yes, it does, and it's it, it's a problem. The dispute over fishing rights has been going on for some time, as you said. And on the Mark and Pete show, when we were talking about Brexit, we got our big boost on the show when we correctly predicted that Donald Trump was going to win in the 2016 presidential election over there. But we're also pretty hot on the Brexit vote. We didn't. I think we didn't make a prediction actually as to which way it was going to go because we knew it was close. But we talked about the issues, and this we saw as one of the major issues that needed to be dealt with. The British fishing industry was in dire straits, and it's worse in a worse situation now because it just hasn't been sorted out. It's brought up as a sort of an issue. I remember Boris Johnson when he was looking to become elected leader of the Conservative Party. He had it as one of his major issues, and he even had a fish on stage with him,
Yes.
a dead one. And no, they weren't proposed members of his cabinet, an actual fish. And he
Yes.
talked about this and then did nothing about it promptly. So this is an issue that should have been dealt with a long time ago. Certainly after we left the EU, it's something that could have been dealt with more forthrightly. They've got some sort of fishing terms put in place, but I mean, it shouldn't be difficult. It's quite simple. If you've got waters that are yours, you set the rules. It shouldn't be difficult.
Well, I agree. I mean, the problem with this is that you have French trawlers who are obviously encroaching on British waters. British fishermen
Yeah,
are up in arms and in nets and everything else. One thing is interesting here, isn't it? The actual fishing industry is a relatively small economy, but it's one of the biggest political bones of contention. Yes,
yeah,
lots of bones in lots of fish. But the fact is that you must ask the question: why is it politicians in Britain haven't been strong about this? I think that if we were to sort of start trampling all over the farmers' fields in France to pluck out,
yeah,
potatoes and vegetables and many other things,
yes. Must
you'd
stop
have a
doing
bit of
that.
an a bit of an issue, wouldn't you? So why on
Yes,
earth
indeed.
should we allow French trawlers to scrape up all of our fish? It makes no sense to me. Now I know this is a political tool, it's a bit of political football, but the fact is, I think that really it's one of those issues that, to me, as a topic, illustrates why the EU doesn't work, because it makes demands on a nation that's unreasonable. It flip-flops literally in so many different ways in which the way they want to trade. Now, I know that they still can't get over the Brexit scenario and they're still having challenges over that. Yes, get over it. Let's move on. We have an opportunity, folks, to actually have trade agreements that are fair. And I think it comes down to fairness, doesn't it? Which is,
Yeah.
what we are offering to what they are offering. I wonder why, really, do you think that these political footballs are really hampering an industry? Fishing is a traditional profession, and yet it's suffering. And it's one of those small industries that can put people
Yeah.
out of business so quickly.
Yeah, it's well, there are a few issues here. Why does it not feature more largely? Because it's a small industry. Because although it's something you can talk about when push comes to shove, you can just not deal with it, and you won't face political consequences. That's really it. But also, it's big for our European colleagues and our European neighbours, rather, not colleagues, because we left. I've got to try and remember that. It doesn't seem like it sometimes. But our leaders in the Conservative Party and the Labour Party want to be part of Europe. they quite obviously think only plebs, dullards and idiots like people on the Mark and Pete show think otherwise. And so they really they don't have the opinion that they say they have about it. They think there should be shared waters. They should have some sort of agreement, such as the recent agreements suggested, the fish for food swap, which is part of the discussions between the UK and the EU. Now, that isn't the case. What you need is someone like, say, Donald Trump, who's a businessman, someone coming in and saying, look, this is the situation. I've got all the cards on my side because these are our waters. Let's talk, starting with you've got zero rights, and then we'll come to an agreement.
Yes.
Or maybe, actually, what we need, talking about personalities, we need to bring Margaret Thatcher back to come and sort out these wets and tell them where to go.
Well, indeed. Well, France wants a long-term deal, and we've got no problem on Mark and Pete with long-term deals. However, what they are doing is that France says that the EU continue to access the same levels of fish onwards, going from 2026 onwards, rather than negotiating quotas every year. Well, again, this is going to rumble on. The waves of political washes will ebb and flow. I wonder what our audience thinks. Are there any fishermen out there? Let's get their opinions. What do they think? Why not have some of our French audience come in and tell us what they think? We'd love to get their perspectives.
Yes, two ways to let us know. If you want to sign up, brilliant way to get in touch is go to markandpete.com. Make sure you're subscribed, and you can leave a comment on this and every episode. Of course, if you're listening on x.com, formerly known as Twitter, then you can just tweet or x.commerce. I'm not sure what the alternative is, but you can leave a comment there, and we'll be sure to read it and feature on one of our special comment shows. So thanks very much for listening. From Mark and myself, it's goodbye for this week, and we'll catch you next time.